everyone, it's Kat and I'm back today for a bit of a swatch video. I'm searching for a dupe. So if you have been watching my channel, you'll know that I've been panning my MAC. This is a Mineralized Skin Finish formula and the shade is Stereo Rose. Now this was a limited edition shade. It's sort of like this pinky, sort of warm pink. It's got a little bit of sort of peachiness to it, but it is a pink. It is technically a highlighter. Their Mineralized Skin Finish formula is like a highlighter formula, so this is not a blush, and it came out years and years and years ago. It came out a few times, so in a few different collections, but they're all limited edition. Now the reason I decided to pan this last year was because it was getting old, and when I first got this, I was using it wrong. I was using it as a highlighter and I was just putting it on the tops of my cheeks and it was looking a little bit funny. But when I decided to pan it, I thought, look, I'll see how I go with it. Do I like it? Do I want to use it up? Do I want to declutter it? What's going on? I started using it in a more sort of blush, sweepy, sort of drapey way, and I love it. I love it for so many different reasons, and I have very little left, but I've decided to keep this amount to try to find something that's similar because it just makes my makeup so much better and it just is so easy. There's nothing that I dislike about this besides the fact that it's discontinued. So what I'm going to do is put this on, show it to you, show you why I love it, and then go through my blushes and highlighters that are remotely similar. I've pretty much pulled out any sort of shimmery pinkish blush. I think I even have some sort of orange shades in here, but if they might be a formula that might potentially look similar, I've put them in here. I've also pulled out some colored highlighters, so any highlighter that's got like a peachy or pinky sort of vibe to it. I'm going to swatch them all compared to this, and then I'm going to put it on the one that I narrowed down to being most similar. I'm going to put on my cheek and we can see if there's much of a difference. So what I love about this, I'm going to just apply it. I don't even have a mirror, but you don't need a mirror for this. This is what's great about it. I'm finding these days, I don't know if it's since having kids or since getting a bit older, but I find a lot of makeup doesn't sit as nicely and as flattering on my skin. So having something that I can go to add a little bit of color, a little bit of brightness, a little bit of life to my face, a little bit of glow, without it being difficult. I know that there's liquid blushes, cream blushes that give a beautiful sort of illumination. On my oily combo skin, I find they can often break down my base, but also the ease of this is what I love. I can literally just swirl it around. Any brush works. And then you just put it on. And again, I don't really need a mirror. I'll put on this one so you can see it a bit better. But this just adds a bit of color. It's like just a little flush of color and this beautiful sort of sheen to the skin. I'm going to put a little bit more because it's a very loose brush. It's not picking up too much. You can put a small amount on, you can put a lot on, and it really doesn't matter. It just adds this glow to the skin that just looks super healthy and is just so flattering and lovely. And I do get sort of dry patches, I do get texture, but that doesn't emphasize it. It just gives the skin this beautiful pop of color, glow. I don't need to worry about placement. I don't need to worry about applying too much. I think because it's a baked formula, it is quite sheer and quite loose. So it's very easy to just sort of drape on, and you can just do wherever you want. You can do it on your nose, you can do it wherever you want to do. And it just adds this beautiful glow to the skin. So this is it on, and that was super simple. I can do it holding a baby with one brush and just put it on and feel like I'm a little bit more alive. And that's without. So it just gives this beautiful effect that I'm finding really hard to replicate. The color I'm not so married to, so it doesn't need to be this exact sort of peachy pink color, but this level of glow that's not so metallic and heavy that it emphasizes skin texture. So I'll zoom in. So obviously there's texture. I do have skin, but just look how beautiful that is. It's such a beautiful effect and so simple compared to it not being on. So it just adds life to the skin. I love it. So I'm after something that offers the same sort of effect and same ease of application because yeah, I could apply this in like literally in the dark without a mirror, and I know whatever I put on my face, it's going to look good because it's not too bold, it's not too colorful. I think being a highlighter, this doesn't actually have much base color, and I think when we swatch things, you'll see a difference. It doesn't actually have much base color to it. It just has like a pinky, peachy shine. So the color comes from the shine. It doesn't deposit too much to your base. So it doesn't look patchy. It doesn't look, you don't overdo it. Everything about this I love. Okay, I'm going to start with MAC blushes. So I'm going to swatch, every time I'm going to swatch Stereo Rose on my arm and then swatch alongside the ones I'm comparing. I'm going to start with blushes and then get on to highlighters. I'm hoping highlighters, look, I think this is just a really unique product where it's a baked product, so it gives that light, loose, effortless sort of application, but it's also a colored highlighter, so it doesn't have a lot of color to it. It just gives a beautiful tinted glow. So I think it's a bit of a unique product, and that's why it's hard to dupe. So the MAC products I do have one other baked product here. This is the Mineralized blush in Warm Soul. It might have a similar light texture because it is baked. I then have 3 extra dimension blushes, which are a little bit more bold. And I have one, look, it's rubbed off, but the shade is Margin, and that one is just a shimmer blush, and it is discontinued. Hooray. I think this shade is discontinued too. This range is still around, but I think this shade is discontinued. We'll get to it soon. So I'll swatch this one first. So it's sort of soft and powdery and really sort of light. And you can see there's not much base color to it, which again, I think is the key to this. It's just, it looks so sort of bland and dull on the arm. I'll try to build up a swatch so you can see it a bit better. But that softness and that lightness is what makes it so easy to apply, and that just glides on the skin. So this is Warm Soul. This is the reformulated or changed one. Warm Soul used to be a bit different. So this does have that lightness to it because it's baked. So it's nice and soft, but you can see instantly it's got more base color to it. So this is the color here is in the sort of reflect. This is a blush. So we're comparing highlighter to blush, but just in a similar sort of tone. You can see there is quite a difference there. This extra dimension blush is in the shade Telling Glow. I don't think this shade is around anymore. It's very bold. You can see it's very metallic, nowhere near what this looked like, and that is not a dupe. Yes, again, if you shear it out, the color might be, but the ease and the just grab a brush, doesn't matter how much you put on, doesn't matter what brush you use, this applies really naturally. This, you can tell, is going to be one that you need to be a little bit more precious with. You need to shear it out. You need to sort of slowly build it up. It's not as easy. It's fun and it's pretty, not as easy. I'm actually thinking of decluttering these. The MAC Extra Dimension Blush in See Me, Hear Me. It was a limited edition one. This doesn't have the same level of shimmer, but it's got a lot of base color to it. So again, this is just going to be a lot darker. Nice and smooth, but these can apply a little bit patchy. They can be a little bit grippy on the skin, and I'm not obsessed with these colors. So these might be decluttered in the future. This is Seduced at Sea, so same range, same formula, just a different tone. It's a little bit more, these look very similar. One's a little bit more reddy, one's a little bit more brown, orangey. Last one is Margin. This is a really beautiful sort of natural looking blush because it isn't too shimmery, it isn't too bold. It's just a very easy one, but it doesn't give that same effect. I might actually swatch it up here because we're getting quite far away. It doesn't have that sort of glow. It's got a glow to it, but again, it's just a bit, I don't want to say firmer, but there's a thickness to it. This has that light baked sort of effect. But if I was to say which one's most similar, the baked blush is probably most similar in how it applies and the thinness, but sort of the color, Margin is probably closest, but no dupes, no dupes. All right, so we've got the swatch back as a reminder, and I'm going to now swatch some shades and some products that I have in my collection that people recommended to me. This is my most recent blush purchase. It's by Lola, and it is the Baked Blush and Brighten in Pink Grapefruit. I found it was quite hard to find a shade like that I was interested in because I don't really have good swatches on the Lola website, but this is a baked blush, so I'm hoping there is some similarity. It already looks quite dark compared to the MAC one, but let's give it a go. Formulation, as in like the lightness of it, definitely similar. Definitely similar. Color, not quite. And you can tell by being a blush, it has a little bit more color to it. But I think we're getting on the right track. You can see they both have like a similar sort of luminosity to them. I think Stereo Rose has a little bit more brightness, and that's what I love about this. So maybe one of these in a lighter shade would do something similar, which I'm happy about. That's hopeful. Another recommendation, and these are baked products as well. These are by M Cosmetics. I've got the Heaven's Glow Magic Hour, and I also have Heaven's Glow Faded Clementine. Now, Faded Clementine is a very sort of orangey tone, whereas Magic Hour is a little bit more pink. So we might have some luck here. That light, airy, sort of powdery finish, which I like, and very similar color. Doesn't have the shine to it though. You can see this is more like a satin blush. If this had a lot more luminosity to it, this would be the winner. I actually like the little bit more peachy warmth to it than this one as well, but the shine just isn't there, and that glow is what I love from this blush. So I wish that had more shine in it. Damn it, that was so close. Faded Clementine, I think we're getting further and further away. That does have a bit of a gold sheen to it, but it still looks quite flat compared to the first two. Nabla was a huge suggestion. A few people recommended Nabla. These are the Skin Glazing Glass Skin Finish Glow Powders. So they're essentially highlighters, and these are that baked gelée formula. So not a baked powder, it's like a baked gel sort of formula. So it's different, but these are very nice and shiny. So this one I've got good hopes for, but I do know these are a lot more heavier, similar to how that MAC blush, this one here, sort of looks really bold. That's how I remember these. We'll start with the one that actually looks most similar in color. This is the shade Truth. Nice and smooth to pick up, but not as sort of powdery and loose, but very pretty. But you can see there is shine, but it's a lot more shine, a lot more shine. So these just, they're very bold. They're very bold. They're beautiful, but you can sort of go over the top very quickly. But this is a really nice color dupe if it was just a little bit softer. This is Lola, which we will just swatch anyway. I'll just try to do a smaller swatch because we're running out of space. Darker, more blushy. And this one's Independence, which is more of a sort of mauvey, more neutral shade, less pinky. So that one's there. So yeah, they're just bolder colors, which again, nice, but not a dupe. This was a recommendation. It's by Lunar Beauty. It's the Moon Prism Powder in the shade Mars. Now, I did swatch this the other day. It's pretty, and it is a colored highlighter, which I think is where my search will eventually take me. So good, sort of similar color. I might swatch it up here actually, but this is such a different formula. Whereas Stereo Rose is sort of loose and powdery and soft and easy. This is quite wet and grippy and very metallic and bold. So you can see, again, similar color, and it gives a highlight effect, but it's just very textured and very thick. This is the type of highlighter, it almost feels like a cream. This is a type of highlighter that would emphasize fine lines, textures, all that kind of stuff. I can see skin texture in like one of the smoothest areas of my body, whereas this just sort of glides over, this sort of grips and is a bit too much. So it's a good in theory. I just don't think it's anywhere similar to how easy this application is. This is a little bit, yeah, it's a bit thick and a bit sort of, I don't know. I just think of the Instagram sort of trend of very heavy highlighter. That's the sort of vibe I get with that one. But yeah, the color and the luminosity is very nice. This wasn't exactly recommended, but a Benefit Box Blush was. I just don't have that shade. This is Gold Rush. And again, I think this one is also a baked gelée formula. So there's some baked going on. Again, the color is very nice. Very similar. If I had to guess which one this is on the arm, I would pick Stereo Rose as being a good color dupe for that one. I just know that this isn't as shiny. So it's nice, it's soft, it's a nice color that isn't too bold. Hang on, I'll turn the brightness down a little bit so hopefully we can see it a bit better. I might swatch it up here so we can have a look. You can just see it's a lot more, it's got a bit of shimmer in it, but they're like sparkle particles. Hopefully you can see there, it's sort of like a satiny, shimmery blush with little specks of gold, which is why this is probably called Gold Rush. It's got little flakes of gold in it. And that I don't think is as flattering as this smooth, silky smooth sort of shine here. So I like the color of this. I just don't like the chunks of glitter and I want more luminosity. So I think this is more successful than MAC. We have something that's got a similar, what seems like similar formula. And I think it sort of applies in a similar way. It already looks a bit darker, more patchy because of the color. And then these two, I think, are similar colors. It's just the texture is off. And for me, the ease of application and the effect on the skin is what makes me love this. So the front runner so far is the Laura Geller Baked blush. All right, so next we're going to do some more blushes, and then the next arm will be colored highlighters, and we're done. So I've got some Nars. This is the original Orgasm. I think this was actually recommended, was it? Potentially. I think some people were flagging it as possibly being a dupe. It is, I just find this blush a little bit infuriating because it's quite sheer, but it's also very sort of chunky. I'm not sure if you can see. Color dupe, it actually looks quite similar. It's a lot more pink, then it's got a gold sheen, whereas this is sort of like the pink and gold mixed together. But I just find it's very sheer, and then there's like little chunks of glitter, which I don't love. So I should actually try to pan this. I've had this little mini sample. Did I say it's Nars Orgasm? Anyway, it's Nars Orgasm. I've had this mini sample kicking around for years and years and years. I'm actually going to compare that to my newest Nars palette. This is the Orgasm, I think it's Foreplay, Orgasm Foreplay. Very, very tasteful name there. But this has a different formula. It's got Orgasm in the corner here, but it's a different formula. And then we've got Orgasm X and Orgasm Rush. So these aren't going to be the same colors. I might just swatch Orgasm, maybe these two. I feel like those two I'll swatch. Okay, so this is, again, a smoother formula. Same color as Orgasm, but it doesn't have that chunkiness. It's got that smoothness. It's a little bit more like the, I think it's very pretty. In terms of application and formula, this is a bit bolder. It's a little bit more like the Nabla ones. So not as soft and easy to apply, and look, doesn't look as natural. It's a little bit more bold, but pretty. And I like this one as well because it's like a bronze blush highlighter all in one. But you can tell, again, bolder, nice and smooth, but not an everyday sort of easy blush like this. Sleek have a blush. This is very old. It's rose gold. I should probably get rid of this. I know I've panned it. It's very bold. It's a little bit like Orgasm, but on sort of steroids. So it's a little bit more gold shifting, bold. It's very pretty, but it's very, like, there's a strong base color. It's got a nice sort of colorful shift, gold shift, but it's not the same. Hourglass, this is Mecca Glow, so it was a limited edition Mecca exclusive. It is a peachy color with a gold sort of veining. This is a baked blush, so it's a lot softer, gives that sort of same effect, that soft, really blendable, sort of just blends itself, gives that effect. It doesn't have as much glow. I'm not too sure if you can see. This has a beautiful glow. This has almost like, again, a satin finish with a little bit of twinkle in it. But out of all these, I think this is the most similar to that. So I think baked is where we're going. I've got a palette from Natasha Denona. This is the Bloom Blush and Glow palette. What am I swatching here? I don't really know. Maybe I'll swatch this one. There's a cream blush. I don't really want to find a cream blush alternative because cream blushes, for me anyway, are much harder to apply on a daily basis. So I think I'm going to swatch this one. This actually looks a lot like the Sleek one. Yeah, that is... This has that Lunar Beauty sort of wet texture to it. Really, really bold. Not great for... Like, this is a statement blush. This is a everyday blush. Last one, and again, this is a liquid, so I don't want this to be where I'm going because it's not as easy to apply, but I just thought color-wise, let's just have a look. So it's a Charlotte Tilbury Glowgasm blush in Pinkgasm. And again, this has a beautiful effect, but I'm not doing this with a baby in my arms every day. I think the color and the effect is very sort of similar. This is a little bit more glowy. Of course, you can sort of sheer it down. Similar. I know these do also feel quite tacky throughout the day, which I don't love, but I think the effect is quite nice. It gives a very similar, beautiful glow. So yeah, the winner out of that is definitely the Hourglass. So I might pull that one aside. Okay, next I've got some highlighters. I also have this, which I was incorrectly, I thought it was a pink highlighter, but it's actually a baked blush from Wet n Wild. So I'll swatch this alongside these, but these are predominantly sort of coloured highlighters. Start with this one. So this was a limited edition. It's called Don't Flutter Yourself. Oh, it's a lot more shiny, but I think it gives that sort of, oh, it's a lot lighter as well. I was going to say it gives that same sort of blush highlighter in one effect, but you can see this is a lot lighter. It's a lot frostier, a lot more shimmery. So this can be used as a highlighter, whereas I want this to be more of a all over blush highlighter in one draping sort of blush situation. Pretty, not a dupe. Becca. So Becca, if they were still around, maybe I'd be able to find a highlighter that has a similar color. This is Parisian Light. So this is a pink limited edition one. So it's pink with like a gold sort of shift to it. Very pretty. This is a lot lighter, a lot more of your traditional highlighter. And it also reflects mainly like a peachy gold. It's got like a pink base, but it doesn't have the depth of color that makes it a blush highlighter in one. This is a very, very, very old Anastasia Beverly Hills illuminator, and it's in Peach Nectar. Now I kept this because it's beautiful, but I should also use it up because it's very old. So it gives that peachy look, and it's very shiny. Again, I think this is that baked gelée sort of formula. Oh, super bold. Okay, not the same. Not the same, but a beautiful glow it gives. This one's by Pixie. It's the glowy powder in Rose Dew, and this is a pink highlighter, but hopefully, I don't know if you can see, there's like chunks of sparkle in it. So I don't think it's going to give that blush effect. I actually don't really like this, to be honest. It's a bit chunky. It's pretty. It's pretty. But I think heavily swatched, it's really pretty. Blended out, it's very glittery and sort of twinkly. Not my fave. Do I keep it? Do I declutter it? I don't know. We'll see. This one's very cool. It's by Smashbox. This is the collaboration with Vlada, MUA, and it's the Petal Metal Highlighter in Prismatic Petal. This is gorgeous. Not a dupe, but it's gorgeous. It's like, there's something about it. It is sparkly, yes, and you can't see it on camera, but it's got this beautiful duochrome, catches like pink to gold. It's gorgeous. It is not anywhere near this like that, but it is gorgeous. I'm glad I swatched that just because that makes me happy. Last one I'm going to swatch is Sigma Glow Kissed. This is a palette, and there's, look, it's a highlighter palette. There's a lot of highlighter here, but I thought I'd swatch this one because it's a bit of like a coppery, oh, it's too warm and too shiny already off the bat. There we go. Nice and smooth though, but yeah, way too bold, way too orange. None of these are anywhere close to dupes. Very pretty. Some very pretty things here. Not a dupe. Okay, so what have I discovered? Well, I've discovered I've got a lot of nice blushes that I need to use more, which is not not a surprise actually. But the closest two, I think, are these two. So Hourglass, the color's not great, and I think it needs to be more glowy, but the formula feels very similar. And the Laura Geller baked blush, sorry, is very similar as well. So I think baked is where we need to go to get this sort of ease of application. I think out of the two, this one is probably most similar. So I'm going to try this one on my face. I'm going to use the same brush. I'm just going to wipe off any excess. I think the problem with this, firstly, if I use it as much as I used the MAC one, it's going to go soon, which not a bad thing. It's a lot darker. See, that's like when I picked up, hopefully I might put a screenshot of when I picked up this one on this brush. and it didn't have this base color. So this has a lot of base color because it's a blush. So this already, I don't think it's going to be the same. It's not going to be that quick, just dust on, but let's go. Let's try it. Yeah, already there's a lot more color to it. So you can see the color. And also, I just want to mention that they've got 3 formulas of blushes, Laura in this range. One's more matte, one's more natural, and one's more illuminating. This is one of the illuminating ones, so I did go for one that was as illuminating as possible. It does give a beautiful glow to the skin, but it gives a lot of color. So front on, you can see where the biggest difference of this is. This is very blushy. It looks heavy. I feel like it like pulls down my face a little bit. I feel like it looks like I'm wearing a lot of makeup. This just looks like a glow and lifting. This feels like it's heavy and sort of pulling down. And yes, okay, like where you apply it will definitely change that. But I just feel like this is a blush that has a beautiful luminosity to it. This is a colored highlighter that also doubles as a blush, gives a little bit of a flush. It feels lifted and fresh. This sort of feels a bit dated and heavy. So even though the formulas feel similar because they're both baked, I don't think the effect is quite what I'm after. I think it's the closest I've got in my collection. And if you compare it in the pan, you can see that this does have like that dark blushy sort of vibe to it, whereas this is pure highlighter. So I think this is similar. It's the closest I've got in my collection, but it's not, doesn't have the same sort of bright essence and sort of lightness that I feel like Stereo Rose gives me. So yeah, but what I've learned, besides the fact that I've got a lot of blushes and I need to use before I buy any more, I am looking for a colored highlighter in a baked form. That's what I'm looking for. I've decided. Baked blushes, same consistency. I just don't want that color underneath. I feel like it's a bit much on a daily basis, especially if you just want to put it on really quickly. I don't feel like I could take this up and sort of use it as a highlighter up here. I feel like it would be blush overkill. At least I've figured out what I'm looking for. I want baked. I want highlighter that's colored. I did actually go into MAC the other day and look at some of their other mineralized skin finishes, and they're all very bronzy, warm tones. They're not quite blushy. They're more bronzy. The simple answer to all of this is petition to get MAC to either bring this back out or to bring out mineralized skin finishes in blush shades. That would be amazing. I will buy a whole bunch of those. MAC, please listen to me. It's going to solve all my problems. But yeah, if you have any recommendations for baked products that are like colored highlighters in sort of blushy colors, let me know, because I feel like I've narrowed down where I need to go. But yeah, I think I won't be buying blushes for a little while now because I've got so many of them. But if I see that, I'm going to pounce on it because I think that's exactly what I'm after. I think I might also do a bit of a blush highlighter declutter on TikTok. So if you want to check that out, you don't need to be signed up to TikTok. You don't need to have the app. I will leave a link in the description box to that video if you want to see what I declutter out of all of these. And yeah, hopefully you have a great day. Hopefully that was moderately interesting to watch. And I'll see some of you in my next video. Bye.